The unexpected business lessons my mother, Sheena, taught me that have made me eight figures and are helping me scale to nine figures. Today, I want to share with you these unexpected life lessons, some of which I learned from directly from her, and others I learned from just watching her life unfold, and that have been gold. And these are the things that I have been passing down to my children as well, so that they can be amazing entrepreneurs and successful in business, wealth, and life. Let me know if you're tuning in live or you're watching live or watching the replay. And let's just dive into the first one. The first one is seeing yourself as capable. This is huge. This taught me so much. My mom and dad were immigrants to the United States. And my mom comes from Pakistan, right? And when I say Pakistan, I know a lot of people have a lot of images and kind of belief systems about the women in that part of the world. And my mom was the extreme opposite of every single thing that you would think. And she basically had no limiting beliefs. I've never met another human being even close to her. It wasn't that she worked through her inner limiting beliefs. No, I've met people like us, right, that have a lot of limiting beliefs and we've been working through them. No, no, no. Sheena did not have limiting beliefs. It was the most wildest thing ever. She saw herself delusionally capable. She was always learning and growing. So when she came here, my dad came here first, and then he was here for many years, almost close to a decade, I think. He went back home, got married over there, and then my mom came. When my mom landed here, she was already 8 months pregnant with me. And she was fully dependent on my dad. Well, in her previous life in Pakistan, her dad, my grandfather, became disabled and could not work anymore. And there were seven of them, seven siblings. And my mom was 16, and her older brother was now started supporting the family, except he was married and he had his own kids. And so my mom at 16 in Pakistan, got a job at a bank and started contributing to her household. When she came here, my dad he was working, but he was really bad with money. He was born into wealth, and my grandfather had kind of like financially disowned him when he came here. And so he didn't know how to manage money. And he was making money and he would spend it all his friends and he would help other random people. And my mom started realizing that we're never really going to get ahead unless she steps up. She was a huntress. And so she got a job first at like Dunkin' Donuts and like random like retail things like that. And through that, and meeting other women, other Indian and Pakistani women that lived in our building, she learned that if she went back to school, keep in mind, this is like my mom got married at 18. So this is like she's very young. So by the time she was like 23, she's realizing, oh my God, my dad is like a really bad like spender and they're never going to get ahead. And so she goes back to school here in the US and gets her like nursing license. And she becomes like a CNA, like a nurse's aide. When she starts doing that, she's making money. She learns that, wait a minute, RNs make more. So she goes back to school and learns how to do that and then starts making more money. Then she learned that if she went to private elder care, there was way more money. So she ditched that and went into that and started making more money. In my mother's lifetime, she had she had been a nurse, she had owned a salon, she had owned, oh my God, multiple restaurants. When I was in high school, may have been even um like seventh or eighth grade, she got this idea that she's gonna start the first Urdu language magazine in Chicago. And so she starts this magazine, has issues with the company she's using as the printing press. So she starts her own printing press illegally from our apartment. I learned about this later because I knew there was a printing press in our only bedroom and we were all sleeping in the living room. But I learned about this because the landlord found out and he like sent us a notice that if she did not shut down this printing press, which was violating our like renting agreement, that we were going to get kicked out. This woman was wild. She got an award from the mayor, which made like people knew her. Then she goes into real estate and starts selling real estate before she gets her license. When she shows up in the real estate office, there's 200 agents in there. Some of them that have been doing real estate for decades. Within 1 month, she's in the top 10 list. They used to put up the list in the like in the cafeteria area, in the break room. Within 60 days, she's the top one producer, top one saleswoman in the entire office. The other agents were slashing her tires, breaking her windows so that she couldn't go to her showings. That was Sheena. She just did not know any limitations. There was nothing in her that ever said, I can't do it. She would see someone else doing it, and her thought was, I'm going to do it better. Of course, I'm going to do it. And in the last few years before her untimely death, she got diagnosed with cancer at 47 and she passed away a week before her 50th birthday. She was 49, about to be 50. She was making almost $500,000 a year. She was 4'11" from Pakistan, which I know a lot of people have all kinds of imagery about the women in that country and how oppressed they are. And that was her. And that was her. She was wild. In fact, I had more limiting beliefs than she did. I had to work through them. She just never got the memo on limiting beliefs. And that was such a huge lesson. Watching her, I'm like, if my mom, who didn't have my education, didn't she, by the way, I forgot to mention, she barely spoke English. My dad used to say that every year Sheena's English gets worse. She was just savage. And as I go through some of the other lessons, you'll start painting such a potent picture of the fire that was Sheena. She just did not like, she had so many businesses that I don't even remember or know all of them. So many different businesses. By the way, she was not a hairdresser and she opened up a salon. She just hired hairdressers. Like she was, the way that this woman thought, people would come into her office crying about their man cheating or whatever, some random thing, and they would walk out smiling, laughing, activated with a business plan. I have literally witnessed people walking into her office, broken, sad, hopeless, and walking out skipping and activated and lit up on fire. Just from her words, she could do that. Just from her words. And she didn't just do that with Pakistani and Indian women who understood her native language. She had friends from Cuba, Haiti. Like this woman had the most diverse set of friends you would ever meet. And somehow, through her broken English, she would light a fire in people, activate them in the worst seasons of their life. She would just give them fire and hope and activation, and they would come in one person and leave another person. Watching that, you cannot read that in a book. You cannot Google that. You cannot chat GDP it. Like that was a whole transmission having a mother like that. It was a whole transmission. You had to be ready for her tough love. She was not a woman that would mince her words. She was not a woman that sugar-coated things. She was the kind of person that do not ask her if you don't really want to know. And if you're not ready for the fire that's going to come out of her mouth. She was definitely one of those. So that was number one. Here's the second thing. This one, unfortunately, she didn't always embody. This is one of those lessons that I learned from her of what not to do. She talked about this, she didn't embody it. And at the end, I'm going to actually share that if I ever had a chance to coach my mom or mentor her, where she needed mentorship, because she was perfect the way she was and she was fire. But I believe with my mentorship, she still would have been alive today. Number two, she would always say, see others as capable. That's where I got it. You read it in my book. I got it from my mother. She would get quite upset with you if you were like, oh, he can't figure it out. Let me just do it for him. She would get really mad. She would say, what? Why? Why can't he figure it out? Let him do it. But how she was not embodied is that she was supporting grown ass people from her family that were perfectly capable of working and having their own careers and jobs. But she would just, out of her love, she loved them. And we got into lots of arguments about this as I became an adult and saw what was happening. She would just say that I love them. This is what people do when they love. And I respectfully, this is the area I disagree with my mom. Love is not enabling. And so she said those words from her mouth, but she never really followed them. But I follow them. I embody them. See other people as capable. Let them do it. Let them do it wrong. Let them get it wrong. Let them figure it out. Sometimes people need to learn their spiritual lessons the hard way. And all you can do is be the living embodiment of what you believe. That's it. You can even tell them if you want to, but they're not going to listen. See them as capable of learning their lessons and figuring it out has been a big business lesson and life lesson for me. Okay. This is why I always tell you guys, whatever you want to teach your kids, don't tell them, show them, embody it. Because I could have learned this lesson earlier had my mother actually embodied this instead of just telling me. Who's here? Tell me who's here in the chat. Hi, Zainab. Love Henka is here. Nina is here. Valentina is here. Bibi is here. Earth Dancer is here. Welcome, welcome. Sniper is here. Feminine Rose. Welcome, ladies. Light up the chat for a second. Give it up for Sheena and her beautiful life lessons that we get to learn and embody. This is a big one, number 3. And this is probably one of the biggest ones that I know you need to hear right now. Lots of you need to hear this message right now. Build a business, not a mood. Put it in the chat. Build a business, not a mood. I grew up watching my mom, job after job after job. When she was in nursing, she would take up multiple shifts. I never saw her my entire life sleep more than 4 hours. I don't recommend that. I'll be sharing the part I would coach her on later on. She would still be alive with my coaching. But here's the lesson here. No matter what happened, she showed up for work and business. My mother, trigger warning, lost a almost full-term baby. She went to work that day. My mother lost her mom. She showed up in her real estate business that day. She even said, don't tell anyone I lost my mom. And I was like, Mom, why? She was like, they're going to judge why I'm here and ask me questions. I don't need it. They're going to interrupt my workday. And what I learned from her is that we can't burn stuff down just because we're having a bad day or a bad life circumstance or duality shows up. Every single day in my business, I see women get into a fight with their husband and burn down their entire coaching business. Their boyfriend cheats on them, they quit their business. This is not how legacy is built. Watching my mom, who, yeah, I agree, she was extreme. I learned that someone else, like, is not going to dictate what I get to have or not. My current state isn't going to dictate what I show up for. My business is not a mood. And this is why I recommend building a business on longevity, on legacy. Don't build a business on a trend. When the trend changes, you have to burn it all down. Don't build a business on one little win that you have. What if that win goes through a season? I'll give you an example of this. I have seen countless women, young women, get engaged. The next day, launch a whole business on how to get engaged. And then they're going through the duality that happens in the first couple of years of your relationship, because two people, when they come together, his stuff will come up to heal. Your stuff will come up to heal, because your spirit wants each other to heal. They want healing. And now they're putting so much pressure on their union. And then guess what happens? The engagement falls through. Now they have to burn down their entire business because they build it on this one little small season without letting the entire timeline unfold. That is not a business. That is a mood. Your business transcends your life. It transcends your circumstances. It transcends your state. It transcends the ups and downs that happen naturally in life. Actually, the biggest brands that I know with the longest legacy, if you actually study them, you'll learn they were all built in an extreme season of duality, war, grief, financial ruin, bankruptcy, including mine. I started this YouTube channel 15 years ago, 6 months after my mom passed away, right as I was coming out of postpartum depression. This helped me heal my grief. Movement actually heals, it's transformative. And this is one of the key lessons that I'm teaching my children too. Process your shit and show the F up. This isn't about spiritual bypassing. In fact, if you sit and process indefinitely, that leads to depression. That leads to time collapse. If you completely don't process, it leads to trauma stored in your body. The right thing to do is process through the movement. Process through the action. That is the best strategy, the best scientifically, spiritually sound strategy that there is. And so another thing I've seen, and I'll go to the rest, but I think this one's so important, I want to give it its time. If you build a business that's based on high vibes, you're screwed. You're screwed. Because no human being can maintain a high vibe every time. A big vibe, yes. A high vibe all the time, no. Then what happens is when you're having a low day or a low season, a low month, because maybe something happened, illness, grief, whatever, guess what you do? You can't show up because you build your business on a freaking mood and you're not in that mood now. But when you build a business on a big vibe, meaning your capacity to hold life is so vast and continuously growing, no matter what happens, you show up. Why are most legacy brands built on seasons of duality? Because it is in seasons of dualities that people look to leaders. We don't need a leader when times are good, when moods are high. That's not when we're seeking out leaders. We're good. We seek out leaders when times are bad, when times are tough, when times are uncertain. And so when we see someone showing up in uncertain times, when we see someone showing up through their own grief and pain, or whatever they're moving through, instantly we code them in our subconscious as, wow, that's a leader. We don't even have to agree with everything they're saying. We're like, wow, wow, that person, I respect that person. There is an admiration that happens, even if that person has the opposing values than you will start looking up to that person. You're going to be like, wow, I might not agree with everything that person says, but I respect that person. Because that would have collapsed anyone, and they continued to show up. They continued to lead themselves through it in the public eye. Now, this does not mean that they're like, trauma, verbally vomiting their trauma. I always say heal from your, teach from your um, healed scars and not from your open wounds. But show the F up for you. Me starting this YouTube channel 15 years ago, it healed me. It helped me realize, oh, my mom's legacy continued through me teaching through her body of work, her life lessons, giving her life meaning beyond just the meaning that it had. I'm giving it even more meaning now. I'm letting her legacy mean something. So movement is an important part. Who's ready for number 4? Number 4, unexpected business lesson I learned from my mother is she would pivot without permission. She was the queen of that. Okay. Once she realized, for example, that, oh, okay, I'm going to make more money doing this, she outgrew this, she'd quit that thing and start the new thing, and you'd find out after. She wouldn't explain. She wouldn't go ask 50 million people for permission. My dad would even find out afterwards, which is, I know, extreme. She knows extreme. Okay. I'm not saying right or wrong. That's how she did it. She would just do it. She did not ever think that she needed permission. She never felt like there was any need for her to ask anyone else. She would just go and do it. That was such a huge code. She would just pivot. When we go into asking 50 million different people, those people, all they do is mirror back our uncertainty because they're thinking if they're asking, they must be uncertain. So they just mirror back the uncertainty, making you even more confused. Have you noticed that? I have certainly dealt with that, where I've asked other people for advice and I come out of it more confused than ever because they're just mirroring back my uncertainty. She would also never explain. She just would do it. And here's the biggest lesson in here. This was a whole transmission. She would actually act like the other thing never existed. It was like the other thing died. She wouldn't be talking about it for months. She wouldn't be explaining it. There would be nothing about it that she would associate with after it was done and closed. The only reason I even know about some of this stuff is because I was there, because I was her daughter. That's the only reason I even know. Most people that knew her in real estate probably thought she only did real estate ever. They didn't even probably know she had owned like 10 different restaurants, all these other things. And so she would just do it. She'd just go for it. She would just be certain in it working. She would put all her eggs in that basket. She was crazy. She would do it. But here's number 5, which is really important, especially if you're going to pivot without permission and you're going to burn it all down. She was the queen. Both of my parents were always, they were the king and queen of burning it all down, which, I've evolved that body of work. I don't believe in burning it down. I believe in bridging it. Bridge into blessings. Number 5, she would burn everything down except for the relationships. Put in the chat right now or in the comments if you're watching this afterwards, relationships. That's the only thing she would take with her. And that was the secret sauce of her success. So when she became a real estate agent, the reason that she outperformed everyone else immediately is every single job Sheena had ever had, every single career, every single previous business, she was still in contact with all those people. So when she called up her really, really rich network, she had so many clients that she couldn't even deal with all of them. I immediately saw what was happening, that was raining money on Sheena. And I was like, Mom, this is when I was a full-time student at Northwestern. I said, Mom, I want to do what you're doing. She was like, go get your real estate license and do not slow me down. Don't get in my way. And so I was like, okay, I want some of these, I want some of this money raining on me too. Because she had more clients than she knew what to do with. While people were scrambling for fighting over in the same office for that one client, like who looked at them first when they walked in the door. This is my client. This is my client. Sheena had more than she could handle because of her relationships. You know, when she passed away, they, the people that wanted to be at her funeral, at her service, they shut down streets in Chicago. People that didn't know Sheena thought that the mayor had died or some other famous celebrity in Chicago. Because that's how many people she had impacted through her social work, through her relationships, through her businesses, that streets were shut down for her funeral. People thought it was a celebrity. You will never be successful if you're always burning down your relationships. Do you know that she sold real estate to her haters? My mom used to tell me the story that when she went into uh, her first like nursing job, it was at a hospital. My mom was Pakistani, and there were these group of women, and they would say, "Hey, you, Indian girl, come here, pick this up." She sold them real estate a couple decades later. They were coming into her office asking Sheena for advice about investments, and she sold them, their sisters, their cousins, and their aunts real estate. Those same women that were like, come over here, Indian woman. She was wild in her relationship. And here's what I'm going to say about this. I don't have this on the list, but this is why. Nothing triggered Sheena. I don't know what she was made of. Nothing triggered her. And unfortunately, I did not inherit that quality. I had to earn it. Nothing triggers me now. I had to earn that. I'm not gonna sit here and say I just inherited that. I wish I had. I wish I had. I had to do a lot of healing work to get to this point. Definitely earned. My mom had not done any inner work, but you could not trigger her. I have the craziest stories. She had a relative that was trying to get her kidnapped to ask my dad for ransom money, and my mom thought it was funny. I did not think that was funny. And I was really pissed at my mom because she continued to have a relationship with this family member. And she was like, this is just how they are. This is just what they do. Ha ha ha. She thought she was like literally laughing. She thought it was funny. If someone got mad and yelled at her, she would laugh uncontrollably, not out of nervousness. I would ask her, she would say, I think people who lose their temper are silly. They have no emotional control. They're funny. Look at how funny they look. She would point it out while they were in a rage. They're throwing things, they're angry. She would say, look at how he's breathing. My God, he's fully lost control of himself. Oh my God. She would just be laughing. It would snap the person out of it. She would be, while they're in a whatever they're doing when they're angry, She'd be like, don't people look crazy? Look over here. Look at how they're breathing. Look how he's walking now. My God, he's lost control. They could hear this. They're right there. She didn't care. That is like next level. I don't know how she embodied that without having done ever in any inner work. That is like such a next level business lesson that I've learned. Don't take it personally. From her point of view, if someone's mad, they're angry, they're triggered, they've lost control, they're in trouble, not her. They're the one that can't control themselves. Why should she be upset? Why should she take it personally? She would point out to us, her children, their signs. My cousin and I still, my one of my cousins was my mom's like best friend. They got along so well. And every single time we're on the phone, she's like talking about, remember when Sheena said this? Remember how Sheena would do this? Remember how she would laugh in these scenarios? Like just so rich. And some of those stories I wasn't there for because she traveled a little bit with my cousin without me. And we can't believe it. Anytime we get triggered, we would think of Sheena. We're like, mom would have been noticing that other person's crazy behavior and laughing, not being triggered right now. Because she knew that the person that's triggered or angry or upset or losing control is the one in trouble, not her. That's a whole different level, a whole different level of embodiment. She was a wise soul. Number 6. Who's ready for number 6? She was always moving. She would become obsessed. Like that time she wanted to open the salon, all of her friends told her, don't open a salon. It's a brutal business. You're not even a hairstylist. You could not talk her out of anything that she would get obsessed with. You just could not. She was the queen of speed and momentum. She was always learning and growing. Always. Oh my gosh, she was always in school. Even when she got her real estate license, and she got her broker's license, then her got her loan officer license. She was just always learning. In nursing, she didn't just have the one degree. She started the certification, then the diploma, then the degree. She was always in motion. Always. Keep moving. Momentum, oh my God, that's like God's hand at compounding. She was just, everything was always, in fact, when people felt stagnant, when people felt stagnant, you'd find them sitting in her office. Just being around her, you would become sourced with energy. You would be telling Sheena about your problem, and she would hand you 10 business ideas. How to alchemize that same problem that you walked in with into 10 money-making ideas. That part I inherited from her for sure. Alina's like that too, by the way. It runs in our bloodstream. And that's what people knew that. They would come, and when other people would send people too, people would come and they would say to her, I know you don't know me, but you know so and so. I'm going through a hard time. They said that you would be able to help. And they would come sit in her office. My mom, who was always pressed for time, always had time for other human beings, would sit there. I would even get annoyed at her. Like, you barely have time. Random people just walking in, you just dishing them free advice. She'd sit there, coach them, help them, listen to them, and then bam, bam, bam. And then they would walk out skipping. It didn't matter to her if they went and did it, if they wasted her time, whatever, it did not matter. My mom used to say that when a human being comes to you for help, to God, humans are all equal. And she used to say that if you are the giver's hand, God has blessed you, because you could just as easily be the receiving hand. And she said that anytime you're put in a position of a giver's hand, always give. Now, I have evolved that body of work of hers. Always give from overflow. My parents never accumulated any wealth, had a lot of illnesses, and she died from cancer because she gave from depletion, not from overflow. So I, being the next evolution of her DNA, I have evolved that body of work. So I will add that to it. I'm going to talk about some of this later. But she used to always say, be the giver's hand. If God has put you in that position, give. So she was the kind of person that if you walked in and you needed money and she only had $1, you would be walking out of it. If all she had was a business idea to give you, you'd be walking out of that. My parents would literally bring random people into our home because they didn't have a place to live and give them a place to live and food. They were definitely overgivers. I have evolved that body of work. But always be moving. Anytime someone comes to me, they're like, I feel stagnant, move. I don't know what to do, do something. What if I get it wrong? Get it wrong. What if I fail? That's the point. Just move. Just move. Momentum builds momentum. That movement, it will move out the stagnant energy and then the ideas will come. Right now, when you're stagnant, the ideas won't come. Why should the universe, God, Kainat, bless you with any downloads when you're not even moving? You don't just, you don't deserve them. You're not entitled to the universe's ideas, Kainat's ideas. You earn them through being someone who can grow them, add energy to them. But if you're not even in movement, you're not entitled to those ideas. Move, do something, play harder, play on the edge. Do it from overflow. Number 7. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, this is a good one. I definitely learned this from my mother. Play the hand that you are dealt, no matter how shitty it is, no matter how much you wanted another hand. Play the hand that you have been given so well, so masterfully, that even the people that were dealt better hands want what you have. She was the queen of that. She would do things in such a manner that other people wanted to do them, even if they really didn't. She just made it look so fun because she was a fun person. She was alive. She was one of those people that was full of life. She was definitely one of those that if you were in the car with her, you would laugh and cry and laugh and cry and laugh and laugh and laugh and cry. It was just, she was full. There was just so much life. You would cry because maybe you were going through something and she'd make you laugh. And then she'd cry with you and then she'd make you laugh again. It was just life force moving through her. It wasn't, there was no performance. She never performed for anyone. There was no guardedness. There was no contraction. There were people, oh my God, I grew up watching this. It was wild, where there were people that like hated her, tried to sabotage her, misunderstood her, and they'd be sitting in her office 2 years later. And I'm like, I thought that person didn't like you. They hated you. It's like, yeah, they needed advice, so they showed up, and then I sold them that building. Like, how does that even work? There's like no grudges. I don't think we would be like, bitch, no. Okay, you hurt me. You said so and so about me. You try to take me down. No, you're dead to me. Not Sheena. She'd sit you down, you tell her a story, she'd guide you, and then she'd sell you the building, get you out of your funk. So she always played the hands that she was dealt. And she played them so masterfully that people that had better hands than her wanted her hands. They'd be willing to trade her shitty hand, for their better hand because she made it look so good. That is an art form in itself. This is before the internet. Could you imagine what she could have done with the internet? Wild, wild woman. But so many of us get caught up in our story of how the hand we were dealt was so bad. What she'd do is make it look so appealing. Someone with a better hand would trade with her. Or she'd sell it. She'd sell her bad hand to you with a better hand. And you'd happily exchange that with her. Get good at that. Make the best and masterful moves with wherever you're planted. The cray craze can be a source of entertainment at times. If you are a Sagittarius, you know. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. My birthday is coming up. My 45th birthday. I'm so excited. Okay. Who's ready for if I had the opportunity to coach her, which some of these I tried. I tried. She was very much who she was, but this is how I would coach her with everything that I know. Some of this I tried, but if she was my client, number one, build your empire first, then give from your overflow. Both of my parents' biggest sin was that they were overgivers. They were way too generous, and that was their ultimate demise. They never could build anything because whatever they had, someone else always needed it more and they would give it. And what ate up my dad alive at the end was his resentment. He sacrificed his own well-being, the well-being of his own family, the financial success of his family at the expense of family and friends who never thanked him. And all he wanted was to be recognized, and they never gave it to him. In fact, a few times he told me stories that he would go up and he would try to remind them, which no one likes that, of everything he did for them. And they would say, so what? Someone else would have done it. And that was really hard on him. That was really tough on him. And what I've learned from that is do not give from resentment. If I'm expecting something back, I've already lost. I'm not doing it for the right reasons. I'm not doing it from overflow. The thing with doing it from overflow is when you do something from overflow, you actually expand more than the person you're doing it for. You get more out of it anyways. You don't need anything from that person at that point. So what I would have coached both of my parents at is build your empire first. That doesn't mean you can't be generous along the way in different ways, but never like so the way my parents gave, they never had anything left after they gave. The way I give, I have more than what I started with. Let me give you an example. I am giving you this free business training right now, these free codes that I could charge thousands of dollars for, and I do, right? In my mentorship containers and my courses. But here's the thing, giving this to you for free does not deplete me. In fact, the process of sharing this with you makes me better. It makes me more in multiple ways. First, every time I teach something, I get better. So I'm evolving through the transmission. Secondly, there's people that are going to watch this today, tomorrow, 10 years later, 20 years later, that are going to hire me. So my wealth is expanding from me giving. Third, even the people that never hire me, through the barakat of what I've put out there, good energy, goodwill into the world, giving free business, life advice. When you guys go and build your careers, build your businesses, I get celestial credit for that. That's why kainat celestial prosperity. I get barakat for that. And so that means that my life and the lives of my descendants, my children, my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, they are blessed from that. That's celestial currency. That's what it looks like to give from overflow. My parents had good barakat. I think I've been blessed by their good barakat for sure, but they didn't amount to financial success in the 3D, which would have ultimately saved their lives. It would have ultimately saved their lives, given them, like I could have still had my parents. So that would be definitely one place where I would coach them. The second place, and the I know this was about Sheena, and I'll do a separate one for my dad. I've definitely learned my lessons, but when for these, I'm realizing that both of them had the same blind spots. This is why it's so important to marry your reciprocal. Meaning, like with my husband and I, whatever my weaknesses are his strengths. So collectively, we're stronger. Whatever his weaknesses are my strengths. So collectively, we're stronger. I'm realizing, even through teaching you this today, is that my parents had the same blind spots. So there was no one that could like kind of call them out. There was no one person in the marriage that was like, hey, maybe this is not a good idea. Right? So number two is that I would coach my parents on, don't trust everyone blindly. My parents were way too trusting of people. Because they were good people, they assumed everyone was a good person. Oh my gosh. They paid dearly for that. So did I as a little girl. You guys know my story. Bad things happened to me as a little girl because they brought in people they did not really know and trusted blindly into our home and then left for work. So that's another thing. Do not trust people blindly. Let people prove themselves to you. Give people time to reveal themselves. What I've seen in my own life is I'll have I'm a projector, so I have gut feels and I read people's timelines. So two things I've learned is my first initial gut feel is almost always correct, especially when I'm regulated. The reason I'm saying almost is if I'm dysregulated when I meet the person, I might be a little off or I might second guess myself. But when I'm on point, I'm regulated, spiritually regulated and physically regulated. I'm 100% like I'll know, I can read their timeline. I'll know what their insecurities are, where they're headed, how they're going to collide with my timeline, if that's good or bad. That's one. If I'm dysregulated spiritually or physically, I need to give that person a lot of time, generally a year. That's how long humanly, not spiritually, humanly, it takes a year to really see people through their seasons. And I'm going to add to that is that especially my mom, they got really easily impressed with people. They would get too quickly impressed with someone's success or whatever they were showing. Like they were too easily trusting and too easily impressed. And then a few months later, they would find out, oh, well, this person's not a good person. Yeah, they might be successful, right? But not in the right way. And we should not be associating with those people. So I would definitely coach Sheena on that. Pause, give people time. What I would coach Sheena on also is don't emasculate men by trying to baby them and raise them. She did this with everyone. I think, honestly, looking back at her life, I think that she saw men as weaker than women because she saw women at a high standard, but she loved men, but she would baby them and she would like start raising them, even if they were grown ass men older than her, like her older relatives. She would like financially support them, guide them. That was a big thing. I would also coach my parents on toxic generosity and toxic charity. I think there is charity from overflow where it feels good. It's a win-win-win for the highest good of all. And then there's charity that's manipulated out of you, coerced out of you. You're doing it because you think that's the only way you can be loved or whatever the thing is. That's toxic charity. And I would definitely coach my parents on that, is that give from overflow. Don't give for the wrong reasons. Don't give out of you have to or you're manipulated to. There was another transmission coming through. Let me see about Sheena. that I don't have in my notes? Yeah, one thing that's coming through kind of to add on to that is beware of people that have their eyes on your pocket. And this is not just what you're earning, what you're spending, but how much you're giving to charity. There's some people that demand that or ask that or question that. Stay away from those people and be careful. Why would someone be interested on how much you give away to charity? Like there's something super suspicious about that, bad intentions, even if that person themselves don't know. A lot of times, this is something I can read in people's timelines, is that a lot of people that quote unquote want to harm you will harm you given the chance. They don't know they're like that. We think that people do things out of malicious intent, not always. A lot of people will do really harmful things to you, but they don't know they're being harmful. They justify it in their psyche and they justify it in a way that they don't realize that they're being evil. They're hurting you. And so this is just one of my own kind of projector psychic things. Beware of people that have their eyes on how much you're earning, how much you're spending, how much you're giving where. Distance yourself from those people. Okay, I'm gonna read some of these comments and I'll take questions as well. I want to mention two things. You guys have asked about this. You've received my last two emails. It's true. I am sunsetting all of my relationship courses. No, I'm not deleting them. I'm closing them off for people to buy them as one-off courses, which means that they will still be available in my private coaching and in my Kainat Celestial group mentorship container. However, I knew that a lot of you guys have certain courses on your wish list because you tell me this all the time in the comments. And so until 11/18, so 2 more days left, I'm offering a 20% off code called Evolve to all of my relationship courses. And to make it easier for you, what I've done is I've added them. They're on one page, so you can go look at all of them if you want to. These courses will still be available. If you've bought them, don't worry, you still have access. I'm going to put this on here. All relationship courses. The code is Evolve. If you've already purchased them, nothing changes for you. You still have access. If you have a bundle that those courses came with, you still have access. If you're in Kainat, you still have access. So if you buy a private mentorship, like a one-on-one coaching container that comes with those courses, you still have access. The only thing that's not going to be available after 11/18 is that you can just go on my website and buy the relationship course on its own. I have a huge reason for this that I'm teaching in Overflow, the Lifestyle Rich Woman. By the way, it's still $111. These are the last 6 transmissions of 2025, which is on spiritual branding. And it's my concept of multiplication through subtraction, which I will be explaining deeply in there because I know some of you guys are very curious. We received DMs, emails. I'm appreciating all of the testimonials on the legacy of that body of work. And I'm really excited to where I'm taking it now with the addition of the mentorship. Thank you for this, Mina. This pushed me to get conscious couples. Oh, it's one of my best bodies of work. Conscious couples, I probably did not market that enough because that course is one of my best bodies of work. Conscious couples, I hope you really enjoy it. Okay, let me see what you're saying. Every time you're expecting something bad, you lose. Really resonated. This shows they were good people, but projection that goodness onto others who aren't necessarily good. Yes. And here's the thing. My parents we're the kind of good people that turns good people bad. There is, this is a very deep spiritual concept that I've learned over my life. And it kind of ties into what I said earlier. A lot of people that do bad things don't know they're bad. They don't know what they're doing will lead to harm. I'm not making excuses for them, but I've seen this happen where they did one thing, it led to another, it led to another, it led to another, and then this thing happened. It's like, oh my God, this is a conspiracy. Well, that person wasn't even smart enough to start a conspiracy. They just did these things without thinking, without their spirit involved. And so my parents created this scenario where they literally had a sign on their forehead that said, "Come kick me." And so even good people were like, "Hey, they're wanting to give me this. I'll just take it." And then it just put people in a cycle of taking and taking and taking. And then they acted like I did you a favor because you were giving it and I took it. And so they never even got the appreciation. Now, my mom never cared about that. My mom didn't care if you appreciated it or not. She was totally unbothered. But my dad did care. And he never got that. And I remember having a conversation with him and I didn't use the right tone, and I was able to clean this up later. In the last 5 years of his life, him and I grew really, really close together, and we really tied up a lot of loose ends. When I had this conversation with him, I definitely did not use the right tone, and I could have said it better. But what I said to him is that you spent your entire life being resentful. You said you did it out of generosity. You said you sacrificed your life for your family and friends out of generosity. But did you really? Because you've also been resentful your entire life. You expected something from them that you never got. You made yourself physically and emotionally ill over it. I don't think your intentions were that pure. And that was a hard blow for him. And I definitely could have said it better, but I think he needed to hear it because he spent decades wanting a thank you that he was never going to get and then holding resentment for it. This gave me confirmation to be a part of Kainat. I felt that I truly desire support and not just courses to get married, so God sees me as capable of making it. This is such an amazing point, and this is something I picked up in the field. What I picked up, this is where Kainat was birthed through, is that there's seasons of life and there's eras that we all go through. And when I started my courses, right, and I started my coaching business in April of 2016, and then I launched my first course November 17th, which is tomorrow of 2017. We were all going through a season of courses, and courses still sell and all that stuff, but that was what we needed. A year and a half ago, I started noticing a shift in myself and women like me where yes, we read light language, so we can get transmission from courses, but there is a group of us huntresses that started desiring mentorship and laser sharp precision psychic mentorship where someone's not just giving us the source codes, they're also giving us the source codes a lot applied to our unique source blueprint. That's where Kainat came from. Because I'm like, yeah, and to be honest with you, 60% of the people that buy Kainat still never show up to the mentorship or the telegram. They still binge, that's if I'm like that too sometimes. So I totally get it, no pressure. But for those of us that are like, no, actually, yes, I like the source codes, thank you. And I want someone to tap into my timeline, my blueprint, my source codes, and like give me that laser sharp confirmation that I need right now. That only someone with that unique ability can do. And so that's one of the main reasons too that I'm removing the relationship courses because what Irfan and I are doing for clients in Kainat is just, it cannot be replicated in just the course. And so that's where we're evolving into. There was a good person I recently met, but this girl was doing so much for others that no one valued her goodness. It made me think that people really don't value good people's time, energy, and money. Yeah, it's just human nature. It's not personal. It is just what it is. Now, let's flip this. I have had my own mentors, my loving mentors, that have said, maybe you're giving too much on YouTube, right? Maybe people don't value you. Maybe they would buy more from you. But here's the difference. I give on YouTube because I want to. I love it. It feels so expansive to me. I'm not expecting anything back from you. Do some people naturally buy from that? Yes. Do tons of people don't buy? Yes. Will some people never buy? Yes. Good. They don't want to, they shouldn't. But it changes who I am. It reinforces my identity. It grows me. It expands me. Irfan put this perfectly many years ago because I was having this discussion with him because one of my mentors at the time was saying, just delete all your YouTube videos. You're going to make so much money on Instagram. Just like post little bits and then people will buy because the only way they can get access to you is through buying, right? And so I was discussing with him, and he was like, what I've seen is that your YouTube videos give, like, he called it, it plugs a hole for you. And he said, if it was only about money, you wouldn't have done it for free for 6 years. And that was the confirmation. I'm like, right, right. So it's like, yes, could I make more money if I withheld, if I just gave a little sample? Yes, probably, maybe for sure. But then I would feel like something's missing. I'd have more money, but after a certain amount, like it's like you're just optimizing for this one thing. But like this gives me something. It gives me community. It I can't even put in words. Just being here with you, being able to have these conversations, hearing your comments and your questions, tapping into your energy. It has been one of the biggest lights of my life. And so, yes, if I wanted to optimize only for income, maybe I should give less. I don't know. But the way God has designed me, I have 45 years of experience in this and like what I would say data, divine data is the more I give from a healthy place. So not to give to get, not to give because I'm not worthy, none of that. When I give from my pleasure, from my give from my like overflow, God blesses me in so many more ways. Yes, in money, but like in wealth as well, right? Like wealth, it has other components. I love money, but I love wealth more. And so that blessing and I have an Instagram account. I was telling the ladies in Kainat, I'll I'll have this like download, right? And I'm like, I'm trying to put it in a reel. I'm trying to put it in stories. I'm trying to put it in a post in like the characters that Instagram takes it. And I'll do the best that I can, and I'll feel empty. I'm like, oh, it wasn't I couldn't like say it the way I really wanted to. I've written posts out and then Instagram won't let me post it because you have to keep like there's only so many characters and then I have to like take out words and take out entire paragraphs. And I'm like, oh, now it doesn't feel the same. It's like missing something. And then I'll just post it and I'm like, I gotta make a YouTube video about this. I gotta give them the whole thing. So when I live stream more for me than for you. I'm happy if you get something out of it. I'm glad, but it's more for me. And so it's like a different way of functioning and existing, right? Welcome to Level Up Queens, Portia. I feel like I've outgrown the name of that membership too, but I can't change it. I don't know if you guys know this. You can't change the name of a membership without deleting it, which is a whole other circumstances and like consequences to that. Um, if I renamed it, if I could, I would name it. Hopefully, YouTube will change this. Let's manifest it. I would rename it like Huntresses or something. But it is. We'll just make the most of it. So, welcome to Level Up Queens. Yes, the rules of Ma Lakshmi. It's giving life mission. Yeah, it's my 4-6 projector line, right? Like that's what I live for. And that's why I can't really do it on TikTok. I can't do it on Instagram. And maybe there's people that are able to transmit their calling off of Instagram, right? That's not me. I can't do it. And I tried for all these years being live, even recorded videos, like on the Million Dollar Babes channel, I've been posting recorded videos there and live stream here. That's the strategy. I hate the recording the videos. Like it I want you there. So this just feels so good to me. It feels so juicy. Thank you for continuing to do what you do on YouTube from the goodness of your heart, Mina. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And I'm not saying that or doing it to like be a good person or let's not forget my YouTube channel started from like Louis Vuitton hauls, right? Like this is an expression of my creativity. And so it's not like I'm not trying to be some good person of like, you know what I mean? I love this. I just love talking to you. I always wanted to have deep conversations with people that wanted to have deep conversations, and I get to have that. Now in my life, I only have those kind of relationships. There was a time in my life where you were it. I could only do it with you. I can do it in my marriage. These are the conversations I have with my kids. I do it with you. Irfan took me shopping. There was this Pakistani bridal expo yesterday and we went shopping and it was so much fun. Oh my God. So there was these, it was at a hotel. So they have like, it's an expo. So they have all these stalls, right? And we went to the first stall and he bought me these two outfits. And then we went to a couple, there was nothing there. We go to this one in the middle and it was like everything was made for me. Everything was in my size. I'm gonna post a little story behind the scene. Like you will see, like he had to make multiple trips to the car. Like it was, let me see if I know I have a clip of this somewhere in here. Of like the lady packing it up. Can you guys see this? Like it was like sheer chaos. But the reason I'm sharing this with you is it was two sisters. And we had, while I was shopping, we had conversations about legacy, my parents, being immigrants, her children, like deep psychological stuff, Western culture versus Eastern culture. Like they went and subscribed to my YouTube channel in the middle of the shopping. The other people from their stalls that had the stalls, they left their stalls, their own stalls, unattended and came and formed like a circle watching us shop and talk. And literally they were losing business because other people were coming, walking through their stalls and then leaving because they're not getting any service. But those people that had the stalls, they were just standing around watching us shop and talk. And when I was they were like hugging me when I was leaving. She's like, well, we've never met anyone with your nature. This is a word in my culture. Like I'll say it in Urdu for my, is there anyone that's Pakistani Indian? They were like, तुम्हारी कितनी अच्छी नेचर है, oh my God, कितनी अच्छी नेचर है तुम्हारी, मैंने कभी ऐसी लड़की को नहीं देखा जैसे तुम्हारी नेचर हो. And they were just like hugging me tight. They gave me their phone numbers. They invited us over. They said we have to come to their house for chai. It's like, right? This is how I live my life now. I wanted this so badly my entire life. I'm not a small talk person. I just see your soul. That's what my superpowers are as a psychic, as a projector. And I just want to speak to your soul. And one of the ones, the sister, she was like, she pulled me aside. She's like, "Is that your husband?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like over there holding all these clothes. No, that color. No, you don't like that color. No, that design. Like all the stuff. He's like, she's like, "That's your husband?" And I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh my God." She's like, "I have not met another couple like this." She's like, "Good." She's like, "You deserve it." She's like, "He worships the ground you walk on." Like just from this interaction of a couple hours of shopping. And I just made a decision many years ago that either we're having a real conversation or nothing. That's it. And so I just decided that that's what I get to have. I'm not gonna withhold. I'm not gonna be shallow. I'm not, even if you're gonna be like, it's nice weather out there. I'm gonna look into your soul and I'm gonna hear what you're really saying. And I'm gonna connect with that. It's not about the words. It's about somehow the kainat brought us together in this moment where we're having this shopping experience. And I had the most fun shopping at their booth and just just connecting with them. And then the booth we went right after them. The heart was closed, it was collapsed. We don't have your size, kind of a thing. It's like, okay, thank you. And then we walked away. But it's all or nothing with me. Either we're connecting and we're speaking soul to soul. Either way, I love you, but I'm not going to stand there and posture with you. That's just the decision I made. I didn't understand the Urdu, but I love it. In which city in Pakistan are you in right now? I live in Houston, Texas, and I was born and raised here in the US, but my parents were from Pakistan, and so is my husband. So I'm Pakistani American. So I don't live in Pakistan, but I've been many times and I love it. Hi, Mina. I just joined Kainat. How do I access the mentorship portion? Like, do you mean like right this second? Hold on. Because, like, so the way it works is when you purchase, you get a welcome email with all the instructions. There's a calendar. We add you to the calendar. There's a Telegram group that's optional if you want to hang out with the other girls. The Telegram is more for you to connect with the other girls. We do have Telegram days. And then so tomorrow, if you're in Kainat, we'll see you tomorrow for voltage and visibility. There's coaching in there. So we have calls on the schedule. There's something every single week. Typically, there's 2 things a week. And the Telegram is open 24/7 for you to connect with. So that's how it works. And then if you go into, oh, this is Christy. Oh, Christy. Okay, I know who you are. So Christy, did you add the Gmail calendar? Add the calendar and the schedule is there. We'll see you tomorrow in Voltage and Visibility Live. There's also something on your course portal that says, um, don't you have a call later today with Irfan too? You have your mentorship call with him, right? So you're one-on-one. So he'll explain everything. You can ask him too. Um, there's something in your portal called Kainat Welcome Portal and Office Hours. All the previous recordings of office hours and the pathways are in there. And then the schedule is in there, but you can also get the calendar so you have it synced with your calendar. Yeah, I can't wait to see you tomorrow and you'll talk. Okay, wonderful. So all the coaching calls are in there, the timings. Yes, I can't wait to see you tomorrow, Christy. Let's see. Let's see. I can't thank you enough for your YouTube videos, your courses, your IG, everything. I love being with you in your energy and with this community, this beautiful space of truth and deep conversations. Thank you, Valentina. It's been such an honor. I love connecting. I know you're connecting with me on Instagram a lot. So I do like Instagram for like people, my clients DM me there and like quick connections, but I can't go like deep on there, right? Because just the way it is. I don't know, maybe YouTube just feels like home to me. Mina, I discovered you a couple of years ago when I got married to a Pakistani, and I have been a couple times in Pakistan now. I'm not Pakistani. Oh, that's amazing, Seher. Your name is Pakistani. Are you Middle Eastern? I know Seher is also a Persian name. I had had no idea that CXT was Christy. Okay, amazing. Yeah. So you have your wonderful call with Irfan, and then any other questions you have, you can also ask him and he can guide you. I know it's the first week is like a little bit of a transition because you're learning the calendar and the portal and everything, but it gets to be really easy. Oh, Turkish. Amazing. I love Turkey. We go quite often. Amazing. We're gonna be there again in April for our Dubai intensive. Every time we go to Dubai, we stop either on the way or back in Turkey, so we love it. Amazing. Let me see what else you guys are saying. Anything else coming up for you from the transmission I gave today about the overflow woman? Oh, the overflow transmission, which starts on November 26th. I've revealed more information about it. So if you want to go on the sales page, you can see that. Oops. I know some people were asking. I have a little bit more guidance of what is going to be in there now. Here you go. Portia said, is there a reason why when it comes to business that people always want free services and never want to pay? So that's not has not been my experience. I believe that what I've seen and just based on like my studies with human nature, some people don't trust themselves. They don't know how to extract value, and so those people won't buy. But people will like me always buy. I actually do not consume free content. I always buy. I prefer paid content and paid business things. I don't want the free thing. Like I won't even I'll even like free webinars, often I don't even go watch them. I rather just hop into the paid thing and get the full thing. There's different types of people. Now, people like me that buy, we trust ourselves. And so because we trust ourselves, we know how to extract value, even if the container is the wrong container, even if it's bad, even if we know we'll get something from it. And so because we trust ourselves, we can buy easily. We also know how to 10x our investment. I could buy something for however much, 100,000, 200,000, 30,000, 40,000. And just if I just even take one nugget from it, I can 10x that investment right away because that's the type of person that I am. So when you are marketing in your business, expect market to the right people first of all, and that's where branding comes in, which I'm teaching in Overflow. So, but also know that some people just do not trust themselves enough. And that has nothing to do with you. You could do everything right in your business, and some people still won't buy. That's okay. That's okay because they don't know, maybe they don't trust themselves. Maybe they don't know how to extract value out of something. Maybe they're there for a different reason. They just want to hang out with you. They don't necessarily have a need for your service. That's okay. Don't take it personally. Don't let it mean anything. That's another life lesson. Everything is neutral until you assign meaning to it. So don't take things personally. Of course, refine, of course, get better. We teach in Kainat, I teach sales strategy. I seal, like we do energetics, 80% of it's energetics, but there is about 20% strategy. Like you need some masculine strategy. And then I customize it. So yes, you need those skills. However, like don't take everything personally, right? As someone from a whole generation of overgivers, this is insightful. I decided that in just my one example, I was gonna turn that generation curse into a blessing. Like I'm still a generous person. It's in my bloodline. I cannot stop being generous. I can't stop wanting to give. That's just who I am. I inherited it from both sides, and I'm a projector. However, how I give, I control that. That is something I have control over. How I feel when I'm giving, I have control over that. So I set the structure and the parameters of that, but I still get to give. Do you believe in ads for yourself? Um, I believe in ads, they work. I don't use them. So I'm not sure what you exactly mean by believe in ads. Ads work for the right person in the right season of life for the right strategy. I have clients that use ads because they're in the right season, in the right strategy. So I psychically read energy and timelines of people. This is something, even if I wanted to, I can't turn off. This is one of my spiritual gifts. And for the right person that's aligned, their timeline will blow up with ads. I still haven't, I still don't need that. When I do, I will certainly go and activate it. Nothing is good or bad. It's aligned, right? If it's aligned, when and if it's aligned, I will use ads. Up until now, it's never been aligned. I've never needed them. Ads for projectors, I would have to read your energy. I would have to see your timeline. Here's why. I have had clients who had asked the same question as you, and this is in either in Kainat or private one-to-one coaching. And if according to where they were headed in their timeline, we all have psychic gifts. I've spent 45 years working on mine and activating mine. And so that's why I have that projector precision in them. If for some of them, I said, absolutely don't do it. The timeline that they were headed on, the ads would crush them. It would magnify their worst insecurities and their biggest blocks. So, for that particular human being in front of me at that exact time, ads was not the right strategy. And so we built a different strategy for them based on their current energetics and their current season and their current timeline. And that blew up. A year later, 6 months later, they came back. They said, thank you. Now I finally understand. Because I didn't know why. Sometimes I know exactly what will happen. Sometimes I'm like, just don't do it. It's not gonna be good for you. And then they're like, thank you for stopping me at that time. For other people, they don't want to do ads, but that is the exact strategy that they're ready for at that time. But that's a block for them. They can't see it because they have a limiting belief. That's why I'm moving my courses into mentorship now, because what I can offer you in just 30 seconds of projector precision of reading your energy, whether it's in dating, personal power, marriage, business. Yes, you'll learn things and you'll receive transmissions and source codes from the courses like you've been doing. You have experience with my courses, right? That's why we have tens of thousands of testimonials. And psychically, what I can do in 30 seconds will always transcend that. That's why I'm like, I want to do right and like be able to give them that mentorship in Kainat. The biggest lesson here is that anyone that tells you that there's one right strategy for everyone and it's the only right strategy and it's the only thing that will make you successful is mistaken. I'm not going to say that they're lying to you because maybe they really do believe that, but they're mistaken. Every strategy works. Every wealth strategy, every business strategy works as long as that person that is using that particular strategy is in the right timeline for using it. Here's how timelines show up. I'll explain the process to you. So what I see psychically is there are infinite number. It's like, imagine these infinite number of highways. They literally show up entangled like this. It's like entangled spaghetti. It's just these timelines. When I look at you, and I don't even have to look at you for a very long time. Like a split second, I could be walking down the street, and if someone's energy is open, I can see it right away. They could be talking to me and I see it. What will happen is there's all these infinite timelines, and the one that they're currently on will activate in gold. It's a shade of gold it's not humanly even explainable. The closest thing I can tell you is it's a divine shade of gold. It's the only human words I have. If you understand Arabic or Urdu, it's Noor. It lights up. Now, with my clients, when I see the lit up timeline, but what they're telling me does not match that, that's how I can guide them. Because where they're headed, like for example, if I see on their timeline a certain pathway and they're telling me ads, and the ads will destroy them on the timeline that they're on, I'm going to say, uh, I'm going to coach them through that because the timeline is showing ads is not a good idea right now. And I'll even ask them, where did you get that idea? Oh, their business mentor told them, which is a good strategy. It's not a bad strategy, but because of the timeline that this person is on. So what options do we have? Either they can do the ads, it's going to hurt. They can learn their lessons and then move timelines. That's an option. They could not do the ads and continue on this timeline and do the thing that is actually going to serve them on this timeline. Or they can first change timelines. We deactivate this one, activate another one, and then we do the ads because on that other timeline, ads work. Does this make sense to you? This is why I can't answer some of these general questions that you guys ask me, not because I don't want to, not because I'm trying to withhold. Trust me, I've got enough wisdom to last the entire kainat. It's not that I'm like, oh, I don't want to give it all away. Is that because of the way this platform is set up, as much as I love YouTube, I can't read your energy on it. I need to be in the room with you. The best is in person. I'll see you in Addicted to Abundance. That in-person energy reading is going to always be number one. The second best is through Zoom or somewhere where I can see you and I can see your field and I can see what timeline you're on. Oh my God, Divinia, I don't even know how to read that out loud. What a blessed compliment. Thank you. I received that. She said, Mina is the ad for that which is God, truly a gifted human being. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Those are the kind of things my mom would say to me. So you have no idea how much that means to me. Let's see. What was your grandmother like then to install Sheena with such a good mindset? How can we influence our daughters like this? So my grandmother, my mom's mom, she was savage, but she enabled my mom to be a toxic giver. She, for some reason, I'm not sure why, I'm sure she had her own reasons. I don't want to judge her. But from what I saw as a little girl, she just saw my mom as a paycheck. She would take from my mom to give to her other kids. And so I'm sure of course my mom loved her and I'm sure my mom loved learn lessons from her. But all I saw in my childhood, in the time that I spent with my maternal grandmother, was she just wanted to take from my mom. And my mom loved her so much. And so my mom would give, even when she didn't have, just to please her. So how I teach anything to my kids is I embody it first. This is a big part of my body of work. Yes, we talk about all these things. I use a lot of stories. This is a very human coding. Human beings learn not through lectures, but through stories. And so I teach them through stories, but my story is the most powerful story in their life because think of it. I'm a 45, about to turn 45-year-old woman, and I'm still teaching you from my mom's life because we don't realize how much of that maternal storyline becomes a part of our consciousness. And so I want to give my kids plenty of rich examples. I give them stories of how to be a great wife even though I'm a huntress and so driven, how to be feminine, how to surrender even though I'm so powerful and so certain in a lot of areas, right? I give them examples of where to surrender and where to not. I give them examples of how to play on the edge but also be soft, how to be warm, but also how to be fire and how to be savage, how to lead through not only good times, but when my heart is broken, when things are tough. Like I'm teaching them because I still remember things that my parents said to me 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And I'm like, oh, yes, in this situation, they said this. Yes, I get it now, right? So I know that the lessons I teach my kids, even if they don't get them right now, when they need them, It will be a part of their consciousness and they will pull them out and then they will need them. They will use them. So sometimes Irfan and I will even preface things that we're saying by just saying, hey, this might not make sense to you right now, but this is what we've learned. And one thing that Irfan and I do, this is where my husband and I share similar values. We have polarizing gifts, which are like reciprocal, but we share similar values. And so one thing we're very careful with is we don't tell our kids from this position of we're right, you're wrong, we're the only ones that know, or like because I said so, like that's not part of our values. We teach them based on this is what we've learned in our life. This is where we're parked. It's like a soft sell so that it doesn't feel like a lecture. It doesn't feel heavy. It gives them space to form their own opinions, disagree with us. It gives us space to meta update them and for them to meta update us because your kids are not always going to be your kids as far as the relationship. For example, my oldest is 21 and our relationship has transformed in the last few years, right? Like he's my child. He came from me, but he's not a child, right? He's also not a fully grown man because 26 is when your brain is fully formed. But I've had to evolve my communication with him. Luckily, I started practicing when he was a teenager. And so it was an easier transition than like talking down at him. Well, I would never do that to my kids anyways, but I understand that now our relationship is morphing into more mentorship and friendship rather than that mothering energy. Does that make sense? Right? And it's also mutual because there's a lot of things that he now knows. He's visited more countries than me. He's traveled more. He's had different experiences. He sees the world from a male lens. So he has codes for me that I don't know, right? He will point things out to me. He's been doing this since he was like 10. He would say he's very psychic himself. And so there's like he would like call me out if I was like not embodied in something since he was 10, he would point it out, right? I'll give you an example. There was this uh one relative that would like entangle me in like all kinds of drama. And Armand was like 8, 9 years old at this time. And I didn't even know that he would be in the room watching. Because like kids, when they're playing, sometimes you don't notice what they're absorbing. And I remember, so this happened for a few years. When he was about 10 years old, I was kind of like venting to Irfan. And I was like, oh my God, every time this person comes, I'm like in a good mood. And then all of a sudden I'm entangled in all this drama. And he's like watching me in a way where it's like, I'm like, what? Because he's like staring at me. And he's like, well, it's like, he said, it's because you said this, this, and this. And then they said this and you did this. And I was floored because up until that point, it appeared to me that this person was toxic and they were coming into my house and then they were creating drama. But what he was pointing out is that I was co-creating the experience with them. That's not what I wanted to hear, but I needed to hear this. I remember defending myself with him for days after that. I was like, no, look. And he's like, right. And then you said this, and then she said this, and then and I was like, oh my God. And this went on for, I want to say, if I remember correctly, either a few weeks or a few months until I was like, shit, it's me. I'm entangling with this person. It's like they bring some of it, but then I pull out the rest. It's like I'm addicted to it. And that he's been able to do that. That's why so many of you guys have had readings with him and you're like, oh my God. I trained him in human design and he started doing readings. And then he passed me in 1 year in his knowledge and his abilities in human design, even though I trained him. Because when it's like you could all go to the same school, but when you add your spiritual gift, everything compounds. Yesterday, I was texting him about a client situation. I was like, this is her chart. What am I not seeing here? Because his ability to like I see people's what timeline they're on psychically and the health thing. For some reason, I can't turn that off, even though I don't use that in my business as much. I can see people's internal body health like in the split second. I can tell their internal body age and what's happening inside, which I don't even want that. Like that's not a spiritual gift. I don't even want to have that. It drives me crazy sometimes to even know that stuff. But anyways, that's a different story. He looks at your chart and what he's able to do psychically with that is next level. And he would like I'm sharing this because I allowed my kids to be all of them. I allowed my kids to coach me because their spirit is not younger than me necessarily. Their spirit might be more experienced than me. Do you know that Alina's soul is older than Irfan's soul? That explains a lot of how she coaches him since she was a little girl. Did I share the story with you guys? Oh my God, this is so freaking hilarious. This is when Alina still had a bottle. Okay, I let my kids have bottles until they felt like it. I had a bottle until I was like 6. So judge me or whatever, but I'm a different type of parent, let's just say that. And so she was like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years old, and she's in her little high chair, or not high chair, like the car seat in the back. She's got her bottle. Irfan and I are sitting in the front. The three of them are sitting in the back. We're driving somewhere. Okay. So Irfan and I are talking, right? And I did not even notice this, but apparently Irfan was like he was driving, but he was like looking at me when I was talking. He was like looking at me and then driving. So we're driving along. Alina's in the back. She takes out her bottle. She's like 3 or 4 years old. And she goes, "Stop looking at her." Okay. We were confused. We thought that they're talking to each other. So we kind of like stopped, looked in the back, and we thought she was telling her brothers to stop looking at her. So then we start talking again. Okay, a few seconds go by and she goes, "Keep your eyes straight. Stop staring at her." And she puts her bottle back. And then we turn around and Irfan goes, "Are you talking to me?" And she goes, "You can look at her some more at home. Keep your eyes on the road." We, there was like this dead silence, and then we burst out laughing. That's Alina, okay? She says that she's actually Sheena. She's been saying this that she was 2. I believe it because this woman is a whole nother level. This 11-year-old little girl, 90-year-old woman. I don't know what to say. She is a whole fire. And that's how she's like she has her moments where she's like batting her eyelashes at daddy when she wants something. And then she'll go into like, don't do this, do this, and guiding him. And when we discovered human design, it made sense because her soul is a lot older than Irfan's soul. So her soul can read that she's speaking to a younger soul and it treats it as such. That's why you can't just assume that you know more than your children. You don't always know more than your children, okay? They see things that you don't see. I remember saying to Arman, because when Arman was 9, him and I started watching the Law of Secret, like the Law of Attraction, the Secret DVD together, and we would watch it every week. And it was like the highlight of our week. And then I was like, "I regret teaching you the Law of Attraction." And he was like, "Why?" Because he would walk around being like, "Law of Attraction, we gotta think positive." I'm like, "I am positive." But the thing is, the places where I wasn't, he would call me out on it. So when you raise your children to not have this hierarchy while still being their parents, like we still have, structures and what kids need, but also we have what their soul needs. Then that hierarchy isn't there like that. And then you can learn from them and they can learn from you. And then you can meta update each other. I feel that way with my mom too. She always lets me coach her. Yes, because she knows you have codes with for her. The thing with coaching is there is this misconception that whoever you're coaching or teaching or guiding is behind you. That's not always true. That person could be older than you. They could be quote unquote more successful in certain areas, but you might still have codes for them. You might still be able to see their blind spots. Your spiritual gifts, your psychic powers, every single human being is psychic, by the way. Every single human being. We've just trained ourselves out of it through conditioning, through judging ourselves. I was psychic since I was a little girl. And then through my adulthood, I was like, oh my God, people are going to think I'm weird. I can't explain how I know this. Shh, don't tell them. And so I like squashed that part of me. And it's become unbearable now. I cannot deny it because the people who are intuitive know that I'm psychic. They can tell. They can see. That's why they invite me into things. And when it became unbearable for me to hide it anymore, because people themselves can see my psychic abilities, they know that I'm seeing things that they're not seeing and that others aren't seeing. I had to come out of it. There was no like hiding it anymore. What if I never stopped it in the first place? And then I would have even more experience and mastery of using it. I believe kids are meant to be more intelligent than their parents. It is evolved genome. 1000%. 1000%. Yes, what I've been studying is that and makes one person soul older is how many lifetimes they've lived, how many lifetimes, how many experiences in those lifetimes. So if they lived the same lifetime or many different lifetimes the same way, they didn't extract lessons, that doesn't count, that doesn't age spiritually the soul. So that's another thing. Oh, amazing, Portia. Congratulations. Celebrating you. That is huge. She said, I got accepted in UCLA's law review program. I had to trust myself to put that 1K deposit down. Wow. Congratulations. That is huge. We're celebrating with you. Christy said he is very psychic. I found notes from my human design last year and remembered how in point he was and would say things I was thinking. Armand has definitely not only inherited it, but because we never conditioned him out of it, his spiritual psychic abilities are even bolder than mine because I had it and then like hid it and then like had to come back into it. He had it and always had it. So even though he's a lot younger than me, half more than half my age, he's 21, I'm 45, his spiritual abilities never got deconditioned out. I remember telling a girl back in school days who hurt herself to twist her arm a certain way. I had no idea where it came from, but it actually helped her pain. Wow, that is your spiritual gift. This is why in Kainat, I tell my women, I'm like, don't hide that woo-woo part. Don't hide. That's the part that gives you your edge. It's the part that gives you your category queen status. That's the part that no one can replicate. Someone can steal all your ideas. They can steal all your course names. They can even try to dress like you and speak like you, but they cannot see what you see because their gifts are different. If they try to mimic your gifts, it's not going to have the same result. When you are aligned with your spiritual juice, with your God spark, with your unique DNA and blueprint that only you have, we all have our unique spiritual gift. When you infuse your business with it, you will blow up. You must in the most brilliant way, meaning your body of work, the impact that you have will transcend your lifetime. That is what a legacy business is built on. That's the thing that will have longevity. Otherwise, you just have a mood. Yeah. I will be tuning into your videos most of the day today, my version of church this Sunday. I want to invest more into myself, grow, and be abundant. Beautiful, Portia. I love that. I love it. I hope you find exactly what you're looking for. Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out with me here today. I had so much fun. I'll be back again this week with another transmission. Just to recap, the Evolve code for all my relationship courses ends on November 18th, when those courses will be sunsetted and only be available through Kainaat and not be able to be bought. The 15% off code still is active in the All the Things bundle. If you have questions about that, I'll actually stay for a few minutes. If you guys have specific questions about these birthday events that I'm running and these codes, I'll stay a few minutes for that. Because I know we've been getting a lot of emails and it's better if I can explain it to you in video. So let me know. I'll hang out. I'm gonna have some of my water. There's a 30-second lag, so I know it takes a minute. Thank you, Portia. I'll throw the one for all the things as well. That code was VIP Lady. We are planning to sunset the All the Things bundle as well, meaning it's gonna in the future be different. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna be selling it the way it is, but you can get just for this birthday month, 15% off, and then we're gonna take it. It's gonna be removed off the website. Amazing. All right, ladies, I will let you go. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And I will see you guys in Voltage and Visibility in Kainat tomorrow. All right, ladies. Bye. Um, for those of you guys watching the replay, leave your questions in the comments and then I'll reply afterwards. All right, babes. Bye.